It started out like any other day that was normal. It was only the fourth day of the fall term, so we had some new children. It was some children's first day at school here because not all of our children come every day. So we started off the day greeting parents and showing them to the new rooms. I had one teacher that was getting settled at the time. I was getting her settled in her classroom and getting to know all of the parents and so on. Then we heard the plane had struck the towers. It was one plane, and there were rumors that it was a sightseeing helicopter. It was a small plane. We thought we knew what was going on, and so we said, "We're still here. It's still business as usual." And then when the second plane hit, we knew it was more deliberate. We decided at that point to call parents and tell them that we'd be closing the school and that they needed to come here as soon as possible and pick up their children. Since most of our families live here in the neighborhood, everyone who had to travel and work hadn't really gotten here yet. We decided to wait here until parents could come and pick up their children. Also, a little later on that morning, we had a father who was a police officer come by. He was on duty that day. He said, "It's bedlam out there." He told us, "Stay here and I'll come and get you when it's time to evacuate." So we spent the morning calling parents, answering the phone and having them call us, and making sure that the children were going home with their parents. Some people wanted to take their friends' children, and we said, "No, you're not allowed to do that." I was trying to keep a semblance of order about things and not knowing what would happen next. So we grabbed the backpacks that we would take for neighborhood walks and started putting more and more emergency supplies into the backpacks. We were still in the school when both towers fell. We lost electricity after the second tower fell, but really after the second tower fell, I could see the people running down the streets. The smoke started to come, and I could see the windows shaking out there. So we cleared out this room. The thought was that we would go out of the closest exit to the water by the river. I remembered telling people to go out, and we walked out into the lobby of the apartment building, and there were, of course, all the people in the apartment out there too. I told my people to start to gather where the mailboxes are, and the thought went through my head, we have to stay together. At least they'll find us all in one place. It's then we realized that there was dust coming in the lobby doors. I said, no, everybody come back into the classroom. I had everyone go into one classroom. Some people from the lobby wanted to come in. They wanted to get away from the front doors that were leaking of all the dust. We had some blankets and towels that we wet and put along the door so that the smoke, no, it wasn't smoke, it was dust, wouldn't come in. Yes, I remember thinking, yes, at least they'll find us all together. And that was my thought. We gathered the children up, and we actually had a father who went out and actually convinced a city bus driver to go out and come by and get us. We only had 8 children. We started with 65, but we had 8 children whose parents had not come to pick them up. But we also had a lot of people here because we are connected to an apartment complex. A lot of people came into the school at the point when the towers fell. We also had parents who came to pick up their children, but they didn't know where to go. They didn't want to go out and be on their own, so they stayed. So when the bus came, there were about 50 of us. So we got into the bus and it drove down to Battery Park, and at that point we got on a tugboat and it took us over to Jersey City. When we got to Jersey City, there was a building where we all got ushered into a high school, and it had water and it had a phone for people to use. We didn't have cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone at that time, but one of my teachers did. So I was making those phone calls. I was looking around and saw the television cameras that were there. And then all of a sudden it dawns on you, oh, let's get the word out to these television cameras. And we called the news people over and said, shoot these children. On a normal day, I wouldn't expose the children to being photographed because who knows who's watching out in the world. That day, we wanted their parents to see it, to know they were safe. We have these 8 kids and we don't know where their parents are. They don't know where we are. Here is where we are. Look to your children. They're safe. They're safe. They're fine. We went to 3 different places in Jersey City thinking that we were going to spend the night. One of the parents who used to bring their children to school here had a family in a small town, New Jersey. They discovered where we were. They came and picked us up and took us to the town. At that point, we had 3 children, and we spent the night in Jersey. 2 of the children were matched up with families, and the next day the children's families came out. They were sort of trapped in the city. They came out and picked them up. It was about 2:30 in the afternoon when we discharged the last child, and we could sort of let them go then.